Don't want to get caught up in all that new comic book release hype? How about we open a couple of orders of back issues instead? Alright, so my last video was a 2-order unboxing from Mile High Comics, and I figured I would keep that train rolling along with 2 orders of comics from Atomic Avenue. And I've got an order from one of my favorite sellers, P. Willis, and another one from Stargirls Books, and that's my second order from that seller to go through today. And these are, I would say calculated risk purchases of comic books, of back issues from both of these sellers. So it's kind of nice to see how 2 different sellers from Atomic Avenue, how they ship their books, what are the differences, how do they pack the books, and then just looking at the quality of the books that they're sending out. So with both of these, what I will typically do is I have my spreadsheet, and it's telling me over time as it is analyzing the values that I'm putting in. It will tell me which books I want to buy, and then what I will do is I will find a particular seller and then prioritize which books have the best value, the lowest risk, the most potential from each seller, and then I can just run a filter, essentially. So if there is a book, let's say, that lands in my top 10 or top 20 books that I should go out and purchase because of all the reasons I stated, value and potential and so on, then what I do is I say, okay, if I'm going to buy that book from this seller, if I want to unlock their free shipping, how many books do I have to buy? And I simply apply that filter to my spreadsheet, and then I can see those books that seller has for sale prioritized. What I used to do is if there was a book that one seller had for sale, I would just go to Atomic Avenue, I would search for that seller. I kid you not, sometimes I would sit for an hour or two, and I'm just scrolling through their inventory, and I'm just using my brain and my experience and my knowledge of the hobby to say, okay, I think that one's also a good buy. Oh, I'll pick up that book as well. So now I sit for maybe a matter of 2 or 3 minutes. I apply the filter. I see which books I need to order, which ones are prioritized by value. And then I go into Atomic Avenue and I find those books, and sometimes they're listed multiple times because they're available from different sellers. And I just buy the copy available from the one seller where I'm trying to stack books so that I unlock the free shipping. So this unboxing or dual unboxing is an example of that based off of 2 sellers, P. Willis and Stargirls Books on Atomic Avenue. So let's get to the unboxing and see which books I picked up. All right, so I'm trying something a little different today. I've got a different setup. I did get some feedback that said that there was a bit of glare on the books that was a little irritating, and just trying some different things to improve the process here. So let's open these 2 orders, and I'll put one aside for right now. Reminds me of some of the first videos that I made on the channel, but here is that order. This was from Stargirls Books from Florida, and this one is sent media mail. And I'll go ahead and open this one. So media mail is fine as long as the books aren't opened and damaged, and sent in a Gemini mailer there. Get that out of the way. Let's see. So if you don't mind, you want to leave me some feedback if you like this setup better, or if you like the other one better, let me know. And this was sent in just a plastic bag, a little bit like how Mile High does it. Very little tape, and we're trying to leverage the backing boards here. All right, so here we go. Let's see what we have. first book. This is X-Men 32. Great Andy Kubert cover here. That 90s X-Men goodness. This is 1994. I'm just such a sucker for any great Psylocke covers. And I always love these. This is like where like the book originally came from. It's like Comics Direct. Let's see what this one is. This is Shadows of the Empire #3. More Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. I literally can't get enough Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. Lots of good first appearances in this miniseries. And I keep buying these in hopes to get a full run in a 9/8. Next we have Kanan, the Last Padawan, #4. Now this book is a little interesting in terms of where I purchased this from, because this was a book that I got damaged from Stargirl's books, and I messaged her directly through Atomic Avenue and said, hey, there was a big tear down here in the spine that went directly through the book, and they were nice enough to refund my money on that one. So again, trying for a full run of Kanan, the Last Padawan. Next up, and this was the big book in the order, this is Darkhawk #1. This is one of those characters that I never collected. I don't have a lot of books with Darkhawk in it. I believe he was part of Secret Avengers, and I have maybe a couple of those. But this is Darkhawk #1, so trying to get this book in a 9/8, and this looks to be a pretty nice copy. And this was the big book in the order. So again, what I'm typically doing is I'm finding that one book that will pop, and then, like I was saying during the intro, I will then go and seek out other books from that seller that are of good value, and then unlock the free shipping, and out the door we go. Here's Dark Avengers #4. Certainly looking at all things either Dark Avengers or Thunderbolts, things like that. And I did hear, I believe, Mikey Sutton on Lords of the Long Box, he talked about how he doesn't believe that Disney's going to have another Avengers title. They have Avengers, obviously. Young Avengers is in the works. They don't necessarily want to have Dark Avengers. So Thunderbolts is most likely going to be the name, but the Thunderbolts story in the MCU may pull more from the Dark Avengers than it will from Thunderbolts, or it might be a combination. I really honestly think, for me, it's going to be whatever characters they have at the time they want to create that villain or anti-hero team, and it's probably some combination of both Thunderbolts and Dark Avengers, and then probably some MCU characters as well. And then last book, this is the newsstand copy of Avengers 273. I pick up this book a lot. It was a book that I traced when I was a young collector around this era, and love it. One of my favorite all-time Black Knight covers, and still looking to get this book in a 9/8. So I think I've got a direct and a newsstand now, but I'm always on the hunt for this book as well. So that was the order from Stargirl's books. I think the order is pretty much hinging on Darkhawk #1 being in high grade. So hopefully that works out. But let's get to the second order. And not that Darkhawk is off anyone's radar or anything, but what I try and do is focus on books that either people have forgotten about, or maybe there hasn't been an alert on a particular character in a while, so maybe things have cooled off. And Darkhawk is one of those characters that was really hot there for probably a good solid month. Everything, it was all about Darkhawk #1. Now you don't hear too much about it anymore in the chatter. All right, so this next one, this is from P. Willis, Paul Willis in Hartwell, Georgia. This was sent priority mail today. Now, this is one of my favorite sellers on Atomic Avenue. He will often list books by grade. So in some cases, he will actually put 9.4, 9.8, 9.2. And that's what I started to do with with my books on Atomic Avenue. I list a handful there for sale, and what I try and do is list the entire grade as I give it. Again, I'm not a professional grader. Neither is this seller, but we try and do our best and give a fair and accurate representation of the grade. And I really like that. It just adds an additional level of transparency to the order. All right, so inside is this priority mail envelope. These things are indestructible, so I'm not even going to pretend to try and tear this open. Just get it right on the outside, but there's no way to actually, like, slice through this thing. So always fun to see how folks mail these. So he has pieces of a ruler that looks like he cut or snapped in half and put on here for additional, like it's almost like stabilizing the order of the books here. This could be like one of those paint stirrers. So very interesting. Let me get the tape off. But yeah, lots of, it looks like painting supplies, so good painter's tape. Easy to peel right off. All right, let's see what goodness is in here. More painter's tape. And look at that, he's got the flap here. So you can grab it, I love that. Oh, this one doesn't have it. So this side, again, like if I'm trying to pull the tape back, it's kind of like digging into the book there. All right, I think they're free. And I rebag and board all of these anyway, so if I don't get quite all the tape off, then that's fine. I think it's just stuck to this back here, this book. Yeah, no flap on this one. So I don't mind picking if it's on the backing board, just not on the front. Okay. Now we're good. So here we go. We see the first book here, Amazing Spider-Man 267. It is the appearance of the Commuter, that famous Spider-Man villain, the Commuter. No real like spec or potential here other than just great Amazing Spider-Man from 1985 and really great value on this book here. Blade Runner #1. I love this book. I love the movie, one of the all-time greats with Harrison Ford, and the movie adaptation along with the Indiana Jones adaptation. Those two books are not, it's not top of mind when you're thinking about books to either spec on or books that have value. But in this case, Blade Runner #1 in a high grade has a lot of value. So I scoop these up when I see them, this one and the Indiana Jones book. So I think I have this one in a 9.8 ready to head off to CGC, or it could be on its way. So now I have that second copy. And let me put these up here. Conan the Barbarian 180. Now, I am not a collector of Conan, but I guess I am now. And there are some... this was a long-running series for Marvel. And Conan now, in the current iteration of Conan, is part of the Savage Avengers. There's King Conan. They're definitely putting out some Conan books. I'll say that. And then I just wanted to go ahead and start to grab some of these from the earlier run. I think I was inspired really to start looking at the Conan comics when I heard Chuck Rosansky from Mile High Comics interviewed, and he talked about how Conan, the specific Marvel run, was one of the first runs that he either purchased or collected or started selling. And because I know what it's like at Mile High, I just figured there was going to be a lot of inventory. So I started to add books to track, and that one was extremely affordable, and I grabbed that one. But now I kind of compare between Atomic Avenue and Mile High when I'm looking to pick up back issues of Conan the Barbarian. This is Fantastic Four 202. This one is from 1978, Mayhem over Manhattan. We've got Iron Man here assisting the Fantastic Four. I do notice there's a little bit of a spine issue down here, but looks to be in pretty good shape otherwise. So that's the thing. A lot of these books from the Atomic Avenue sellers, even if they're listed near mint, they may not be near mint, but a lot of times they have the ability for a clean and press. But then on occasion you do get one with a tear. You can also get one like this that's pretty poorly miswrapped. This is Fantastic Four 279. Big shocker, Doctor Doom looming in the background. I think he's practically in every issue of Fantastic Four. This is the run, again, looking at John Byrne, She-Hulk, that era. The miswrap always bothers me, as you can see there, but this one's not too bad. Again, trying to work with the new setup and trying to reduce the glare, so... yeah, I'm just grabbing as many of these as I can. Like I mentioned before, I believe that they want to target the Byrne run when they get into Fantastic Four in the MCU, and that's what I'm picking up. Okay, another series that I didn't really collect very much of that I'm kind of circling back and grabbing, and this is Guardians of the Galaxy #1. This one is certainly not near mint. I can already tell a lot of spine ticks there around the edge. But my first copy of this, so definitely a chance to potentially work on it and press it. It also looks like there's a crease running up and down the front there. So there is that as well that I'll have to deal with. I did purchase this in near mint, so that's a little disappointing. But that's the gamble, that's the risk there. But my first copy of Guardians of the Galaxy #1. This book I do have already, and I keep buying. This is a first appearance of the Crimson Dynamo, and this is it's not the original Crimson Dynamo, it's a different iteration of him. This is Iron Man 255, and I grabbed that in case any of the Winter Guard characters like Red Guardian, maybe even Black Widow, Yelena, they kind of team up and are a thing, then I'm just kind of circling back on some of those characters as well. But more or less an Iron Man fan, which is why I picked it up. And while this isn't necessarily one of his keys, I would definitely lean on it being a minor key or just a book that's on a list somewhere. And I go ahead and grab that one. So a recurring theme, Sensational She-Hulk. I don't have this. This may be actually my very first Sensational She-Hulk book. A great John Byrne cover here. Look at the perspective on this one. Super cool. We have what looks to be a space shuttle or some other NASA space vehicle taking off. And She-Hulk is grabbing on with her badge, NASA guest. And we have Star Trek at the bottom in that Star Trek font. So She-Hulk's on her way. So I have Savage She-Hulk and Sensational She-Hulk on the radar. And I'm looking for any of those books to pick up. Transformers #12. This is a book that's going to add into my Transformers run. I don't have issue 12. It does appear that it needs a press due to some spine curling or pushing there. But great Optimus Prime cover on this one. Transformers G.I. Joe, it's any day now that we see plans for those franchises to either merge or have their own new media properties. So I never mind picking up the Transformers run from Marvel. The Transformers G.I. Joe from Marvel, this is what got me started in comics, so I love going back and grabbing them. Watchmen, this is Watchmen 11. I don't need to really talk about Watchmen and its place in comics history, but I realized I don't have the single issues, and I would like to have a full run, 1 through 12, of Watchmen. It meant a lot to me, reading the story. I did enjoy the movie, but really dove into the original story itself. Love the Gibbons art and the Alan Moore storytelling, and just I love reading these and picking up the trade. And I've got a kind of a Watchmen behind the scenes, and I love all of that, where the character designs and letters from Alan Moore and all of that. So huge Watchmen fan and respect that series a great deal. The last book, X-Men 54. I don't want to say they're spec on Onslaught, but I do pick up some books related to Onslaught where I can. And while this is not his first appearance, this is, I believe, the reveal of who Onslaught is. I can tell right in here there's definitely some spine curling that has to be taken care of, but this is another X-Men book I did not have related to Onslaught, and I'm grabbing that. So there you go. All right, so there are the books. That was a 2-book order from Stargirls Books and P. Willis from Atomic Avenue. Now let's take a look at the orders, and we'll go through and analyze and see how I did and see if I added value to the collection, as most of these books appear to be, in the ballpark of near mint. And so let's see how I did. All right, so here is the breakdown of the 2 orders. The first order was placed on January 18th, and I paid $51.24 for this order. I had also added Incredible Hulk 260 to my order, but that was canceled, and that will happen from time to time. Whenever I place these orders, I cross my fingers and hope books aren't canceled. That one was not a big deal. Every order has kind of a big book for me, and this one was certainly Darkhawk #1. I paid $28.99 for that one, so that really carried the order. Now, if we're comparing what I paid here in column Z, the total cost, versus column U, and that's the cover price fair market value across any grade. And in that case, we look at the total cost and the total value or profit, and I gained just over $3 if I were to turn around and sell these books raw. Everything I paid for and everything I'd be looking to sell is right around fair market value here. So not a great order to necessarily flip per se. It's really more around that potential. So the Darkhawk book, I actually lost $1.33 on in terms of the total cost compared to value. The big winner here was Avengers 273, almost $6 of value added. And this is because it was sent as newsstand. Atomic Avenue does not distinguish between newsstand and direct. That's just how they do business. That's the way it is. So the seller would have to explicitly have in their item description newsstand. But in terms of the value and other things related to tracking variants, they don't break newsstands apart from directs. I'm not really a direct versus newsstand kind of snob, so it doesn't bother me. I don't really care. I don't feel like contacting the seller and asking, because then I think it throws up a red flag where they might want to say, why is this guy asking about newsstands? Is that one more expensive? I just figure whatever I get, I'm going to be happy with. I was targeting Avengers 273. I really wasn't looking for newsstand or direct in particular. It just happened to be newsstand, which according to cover price just happens to be more valuable than direct. So that's okay. So that was where I came out ahead, because that was a $5.25 value add there. Now, what I'm looking for here is potential in terms of getting them professionally graded. So if I were to send all of these books in and they all got a 9.4, do they have value slabbed? And according to the values, most of them don't. Here, Darkhawk #1, if I did get that book at a 9.4, has some value at $66, but I'm really not gaining that much of a profit. It may not be worth my time getting slabbed. Same goes for Avengers 273. That value of $40 at a 9.8, that is for, I believe it's all direct and newsstand sales. I don't remember if they distinguish between it. Sometimes GPA will call out, sometimes they don't. And I think it just kind of depends. Sometimes, like next to the variant listing, you'll see newsstand. And then sometimes you don't, and it's just a combination of all those sales. So some of the systems break them apart, like Mile High Comics does. and then Atomic Avenue does not. So in a 9.4, not a very valuable order if I were to blindly just throw them all over to CGC or CBCS, and so I wouldn't necessarily do that. However, just for fun to see on the high end, if all of these came back a 9.8, now here's where we really see the potential and why I bought these. Darkhawk #1 was the target in a 9.8. It is currently selling for $266. Avengers 273, $167. Could be a little higher in newsstand if that one does turn out to be a 9.8. And then Shadows of the Empire, I think that entire series is now over $100 and 9.8 for each issue, or around that $100 mark. So that one also has a big profit there. So if they're all 9.8, I know they're not, but if they were, I'm looking at kind of that, what is the maximum range? What do I stand to gain? It looks like $437.41 if I were to blindly send them off to CGC and they all hit a 9.8. Dark Avengers is more of a long-term play. Not a lot of value here, not a lot of data. So $9, not worth your time or money or effort to send that in, and that's indicated here with that negative value. So let me clear these, and let's look at the second order. Second order was placed on January 20th, 2022. I paid $89.25. I did unlock the free shipping on both orders. So in terms of total cost, right here in column Z, there was nothing to distribute, and all of the books add up to $89.25. Now, comparing the fair market values of these books against the raw values, actually lost almost $7 in this order. It looks like primarily for Watchmen, lost $5.64. Here's a She-Hulk. That She-Hulk book, although I do like it, looks like it was a $5 loss, and almost a $4 loss for that Guardians of the Galaxy book, which is already another loss on top of that, because I'll be lucky to grade that in a 9. It's probably closer to a 7.5 or an 8. And that's unfortunate because it was listed as near mint, but that's the risk, that's the gamble when you don't see the books. So all in all, a loss in the raw profit. But what about if I did grade them, and let's just say, for fun, they were 9.4, because that is what we all believe a near mint book should be. And in that case, we do have some books that have value. This is what I was talking about with Blade Runner. Blade Runner in a 9.4 is $99. So not a bad investment of $10 right there. Amazing Spider-Man 267, we're starting to get into the mid to late 80s on those. Some of those books are filler. They don't have a ton of value. If there's certainly a drop off where the desirability of a book like that in a 9, like below 9.4, it just sort of falls off the table. But again, it's the potential to find those non-keys or the books between the keys that could be a 9.8, then they still have a lot of value because it has the Amazing Spider-Man trade dress on it. Conan has no value, it looks like. Fantastic Four 202, $26. Guardians, again, that one's going to be tough because I don't even think it's a 9.4, but that was $61. Here we have Watchmen 11 at $50. So some potential there, some not so great. This one I was really banking on trying to get some of these in a 9.8, because if that were the case, then this is where we really see the extreme value. Again, Blade Runner, $321 for that one in a 9.8. So be on the lookout for that one. Watchmen 11 over 200. Looks like, again, Guardians at 174. That's really why I bought it, and it's why I paid $22 for it, because I figured if I could get it in a 9.8, that was a nice value add there. And let's see, X-Men 54, even at a 9.8, was $53, but a really small entry point, $2.75 there. And let's look at one more. Yeah, Sensational She-Hulk #6, $143 if it were to be graded out in a 9.8 there as well. So in total for this one, we're looking at $984.28 of potential value if I were to grade all of these books, and they all got a 9.8. We know that's not the case, and like in particular Guardians, let's say that grades out at an 8. $37, so it's a loss in terms of my time and money just to get the book graded. It does have some value there, but that might be one where I start to upgrade it and sell that book raw and try and get some money back to buy a better high graded copy. All right, so there you go. So those were the orders. I'll be honest, I kind of put this video together to test the new setup, the new look, the new perspective, try and reduce some of the glare. So let me know in the comments if this was better for you, if you like the old version. I'm really trying to show you not just, hey, here are the books I bought, aren't they great? It's really more of showing you how I target certain books and why I do, and why some of them have value today, and less about the promise and hope for speculation tomorrow. I still dabble in speculation. I believe that's a big part of the hobby, and it's a big part of what I do. But what I try and do is balance that with real value today, value on books that are either cooling off or had value at one time or another, great nostalgic filler, or whatever the case may be, but really looking at books that maybe don't have the raw value, but they have kind of sneaky graded value. And that Blade Runner book is one of the perfect prime examples. You can find it for $5 or $10, but boy, if that's at a 9.8, then it's 300. And you could say to yourself, well, the comic book market is littered with those kind of books that are, not very much money in, a no grade or just an ungraded raw copy, and then graded, it's worth a lot. And yeah, that's true, but you're still just not going to go out and blindly buy them. You want to target books, and you want to buy from sellers that you trust that typically give you those high grade books, instead of just kind of fumbling around on eBay or, staring at pictures for hours to try and figure out, is that a shadow? Is that a crease? We don't know. I would rather invest in certain sellers, understand the books that they send, grade them out, study the prices, put all that together, and build trust with a seller, so that down the road, as you find those books that do have the potential to be graded, and you're getting high grade quality books from them, then you know to consistently buy from those sellers and not from others. Then you can kind of catch lightning in a bottle of a minimal investment with a several $100 9.8 slab. So that's why I do it. Hopefully you enjoy that. I appreciate you watching. Happy collecting, and see you next time.